Welcome, welcome. Welcome you all. Good morning. On this lovely Saturday morning, thank you for those who already gave me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. And if you haven't, feel free. We're gonna get into it, guys. We're gonna get deep today. I think it's gonna be very, very good live, very beneficial to you guys. What's up, Paolo? How's it going, brother? I'm gonna get into this here in just one moment. See if we get a couple more of you on. As soon as we hit 10, let me see if I do a quick announcement here. We are officially on YouTube Live for the Week 2 Start Sits. Join me now. Swipe up. Swipe up. Of course, man. What do I look like? You guys know what the deal is. All right, we got 10 of y'all. I'm about to start now. I'm about to start with the start sits. All right, guys, let's do this. Welcome, everybody, on this beautiful Saturday morning. About to break down Week 2 start sits, starting now with the Niners and the Bengals. Make sure to give this live a thumbs up because there's a lot of research, a lot of studying. Why am I the last one to give start sits? Because I care. Because I need to see the injury reports. Because I need to see the practice reports. Because I literally look up every player news. Every stone never gets unturned. That's why. Let's break it down. The Niners and the Bengals. I don't know how this game's going to go. It could be defensive. Niners defense looked really good against what I feel is going to eventually be a pretty potent Buccaneers offense. They have a really good pass rush. We got the Bengals playing with a a banged up offensive line. Cordy Glenn, their starting left tackle, is out again. So, yeah, they're kind of playing with their third left tackle. However, last week, Andy Dalton looked really good, threw for a career high over 400 yards in Seattle. Zach Taylor did an amazing job of finding ways to get the ball out of Andy's hands quick. However, the only guy I'm really trusting in this game is Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is going to be a PPR monster. I don't know why you guys are asking me whether you should start him because he's a must start every single week, guys. Volume gives you a safe floor. PPR monster. So you're starting him. Mixon. If he plays, you kind of got to start him. It's a little shaky. I look at him more like a flex play this week as opposed to the RB1 that he's going to be all year. But somebody with that type of upside, you got to play. San Francisco traveling across the country. Last year, they were a different defense on the road. So keep that in mind. Even though they played good last week against the Buccaneers defensively, especially in the passing game, they did, give up some rushing to what's his name? I just drew a blank. Even Ronald Jones had a pretty decent game. People thought he was going to pick up where he left off in Week 1, and it was all about Peyton Barber in Week 2. So yeah, Mixon, you got to play. Boyd is a very good play. Niners side of the ball, Jimmy looked like crap. I have no faith in Jimmy. I'm not starting him till I see he could throw the ball past 5 yards. It was check down, which makes George Kittle a really, really, really solid play because Cincinnati was one of the worst at defending the tight end last year. I mean, it's not like you weren't going to play Kittle, but he's an especially good play this week in Week 2. Pettis, somebody I've been high on all year is a dart this game. Cincinnati's nothing special defensively. They played good, I guess, week 1, but Seattle isn't anything special offensively. So I think there'll be some opportunities for both Niners running backs. Talking about Matt Breida and Raheem Mostert. I think Mostert could even be a flex play this week. I think Matt Breida could be about an RB2 this week. Pettis, like I said, is a dart. If we see increased snaps, then he could possibly do some work. But again, nobody I would start, complete dart, but he is somebody I would pick up because the potential, the talent is definitely there, but still need to see more out of Jimmy G. Chargers and Lions, I think this one is not a particularly good game for Phillip Rivers. On the road against what I keep saying is a very, very underrated Detroit Lions defense. They completely shut down the Cardinals the first half of that game on the road, but then they fell apart the second half. Murray and the Cardinals offense is just a weird offense to defend. It's the first game. Your stamina's not quite there. They play at a very fast pace. So I'm still confident in not only starting Detroit's defense, but I think Phillip Rivers could be limited. I'm not that crazy about Keenan Allen this game. I mean, the targets will definitely be there because Hunter Henry, as we know, he didn't get placed on IR, but he's definitely going to miss some significant time. I love Eckler this game because of that. I think there's going to be a lot of checkdowns. Detroit's really good. It has an improved pass rush, really good corners in Slay. They signed Justin Coleman in the slot, which is why I'm not crazy about Keenan Allen. But Eckler is a fabulous play. On the flip side, Chargers also have a really good defense, particularly in the secondary, but they could definitely be gutted as their run defense because they're so good in the secondary. People just kill them on the run, and they're soft on the run. Being that they're traveling again across the country to face Kerryon Johnson when they're already bad in the run, I think this could be a blow-up game. I think this could be a breakout game to Kerryon Johnson. I hope so because I was so high on this guy. If he doesn't, kill it in 2 straight softball matchups, I'm going to start worrying because it doesn't get any better than Arizona followed up by the Chargers at home. So I'm worried. But again, the upside, the potential's there. Not a particularly good game for Golladay. Amendola, we saw him be a target monster week 1. He goes against Desmond King, one of the best slot corners in the entire league, if not the best. And then you got Casey Hayward probably shadowing Kenny Golladay. So outside of Kerryon Johnson, they're also good. They're just good in the secondary. They're good against the pass. So Detroit, obviously somebody's going to catch the ball. Stafford's not going to just throw for 90 or 100 yards. Probably in the neighborhood of like 220 to 250. I just don't know where it's going to go because I don't see anybody having that blow-up potential. So if you got Golladay, you're starting him, but I would temper your expectations. So Kerryon Johnson, though, good start there. Vikings and the Packers. Minnesota has been Rodgers' kryptonite in the past. However, he's at home with arguably the best weapons he's had in some time. Green Bay checks all the boxes. I was very disappointed in Matt LaFleur. I felt like he played so conservative. Now, granted, Rodgers didn't have much time to throw the ball. Chicago was getting through that offensive line like Swiss cheese. Aaron Jones is an interesting play here because he's one of those guys. It's like, you picked him as your 3rd round pick. You picked him to be your every week starter. Some of you, he's your RB1. At worst, he's your RB2. So I don't recommend sitting him, but as we all know, not the best matchup. And I'd feel more comfortable if I saw Matt LaFleur using Aaron Jones more in the passing game. I think that was the most disappointing thing. I don't expect Aaron Jones to be a true workhorse. I don't really expect anybody these days to be a true workhorse. I mean, who really is besides Zeke and Saquon? Even CMC doesn't get that many carries. He does a lot of his damage in the passing game. So if Matt LaFleur, who likes to use his running backs in the passing game, I just think it was just, one of those games, maybe he was just playing super conservative on the road at Chicago, got a really good defense. So I just hope that I see Aaron Jones more involved in that passing game. So if you got him, you're starting him. But like Golladay, I would temper expectations. But don't get cute. Don't start, benching Aaron Jones for Miles Sanders, even though Miles Sanders has a juicy matchup, that's when you start getting cute, and that's when it ends up burning you most of the time. I like MVS this game. Again, Devontae Adams. Some certain guys I shouldn't have to mention. If you got Devontae Adams, just starting him. Another tough matchups. But again, Green Bay does a really good job of, moving Devontae Adams around, peppering him with targets. I'm not worried about Xavier Rhodes, who looks like he might have lost a step anyway. So you're starting Devontae Adams. I think MVS could be a sneaky play. He's definitely got a huge size advantage over Trey Waynes. We saw Trey Waynes get burned for a touchdown last week by Calvin Ridley. Rodgers is just as accurate, if not more accurate. And again, it's a big deal when you're playing at home. Now, I think Green Bay's offensive line might be a little banged up. That one might be a game-time decision for the left tackle. But, if you got Rodgers, it's hard to sit a guy like Rodgers. Again, don't get cute. I don't know if I would bench Rodgers for like a Derek Carr, even though Derek Carr has a really good matchup. So sometimes you just got to play your studs. And I go by that saying that says big players do big things, even in tough matchups. In the case of the Vikes, Stephon Diggs is a Green Bay Packer killer. He had 3 touchdowns against them last year in just 2 games. We saw King can't really guard anybody. Allen Robinson did a number on him last week. So I like Stephon Diggs because I think they're going to have to throw the ball more than 10 times. Green Bay's defense showed last week that they are for real. They're not Atlanta's defense. They're not just going to be able to run Dalvin Cook down their throats. I don't believe that. So I do think Kirk Cousins is going to throw more than 10 passes this game. And history repeats itself. So we didn't see anything that changed in the form of, the Packers' #1 corner or secondary. Like I said, Allen Robinson did a number on them. Chicago just was banged up. Anthony Miller still is not 100%, and then Taylor Gabriel, whatever. So yeah, Diggs, and I would start Thielen as well. I mean, you drafted him 2nd round for a reason. You got to start him. So I think, Minnesota is going to pass the ball a lot less. But I think, even if Green Bay gets shut down, they're at home. They're still going to put up, I think they'll still do a better job than Atlanta. Let's put it like that. So MVS, I look at MVS like a wide receiver 3 flex. I look at Aaron Jones kind of like an RB2, a low RB2. Devontae Adams. And then I like Diggs. I think Diggs could be maybe a low wide receiver 1 to high wide receiver 1. Thielen's kind of like a wide receiver 2, kind of like the same as Diggs. But I like Diggs just a little bit more just based on his history against the Packers. Colts and Titans. Colts on the road. I don't like Mac this game. I don't see him getting 25 carries, 170 yards, whatever he got last game. Titans are really, really, really good against the run. They're on the road. Hilton, not the best matchup, even though he's done, historically well against the Titans, but that was with Andrew Luck. This is Jacoby Brissett on the road. Really good Titans defense, not loving it. I mean, if you got Hilton, you're probably starting. Same thing if you got Mac, you're probably starting both of them. But they could be potential week killers this week. That's what stinks because, on one hand, you don't want to start your studs, your early round picks, because if they go off on your bench, you're going to be so pissed. On the other hand, it's not a lot to look forward to with Jacoby Brissett on the road against a very, very good defense. So I would temper expectations. If I'm not starting any of these guys in DFS, this is only a league. If you got them, you got to start them. Titans, on the other hand, Henry at home should be a close game. Definitely looks like a Derrick Henry game. Delaney Walker showed he's still the guy. Him and Mariota got that rapport. Indianapolis has been traditionally poor against tight ends, so Delaney Walker is a really good start here. A.J. Brown could be a sneaky start, sneaky dart, maybe in DFS. Looks so good. So, I don't love his offense. He didn't get a lot of targets, but he definitely passed the eye test. Love me some A.J. Brown. It's just a matter of time before he's the #1 receiver. You got Corey Davis, just try to get something. Try to get an upside player because he's got no upside and a very low floor. And that's an ugly, ugly place to be. So anybody that's got Corey Davis, like I said, he's borderline droppable. Right now, you just want to play off the name, and hopefully you can just get anything for him. Even if it's like a backup quarterback, like a Josh Allen or Jameis Winston, that has more value than Corey Davis. Pats and Dolphins, I don't even know what to say. The crazy part is, though, that the Patriots have done historically, they've lost the last 5 of 6 games at Miami. So, the Dolphins have been bad. Maybe not this bad, but they've been bad for a while. Let's make no mistake about it. They've been a top 5 bad team for the last whatever years. But obviously, but this is the kicker, though. This is the kicker. Brian Flores. He knows the Patriots. And if you look how the Patriots have done against their former coaches, last year the Patriots lost to Detroit, who wasn't very good, against Matt Patricia, who was, former Patriot defensive coordinator or whatever. So, maybe there's something to be said. But at the end of the day, the Patriots, if AB plays, they feel like they got a Pro Bowl team. AB, Pro Bowl, Josh Gordon, former Pro Bowl, MVP, Tom Brady to go. Sony Michel would have made the Pro Bowl last year if it wasn't for them winning the Super Bowl. Julian Edelman probably make the Hall of Fame. They got that's a lot. That's a lot. So traditionally, again, I keep bringing back traditions because history repeats itself, guys. So Julian Edelman has killed the Pats. Has killed the Dolphins. So Julian Edelman, I like him the best. Sony Michel, this is the thing about Sony Michel. It should definitely be a Sony Michel game. The problem with that is the Patriots never do what we expect them to do. And then you get guys like, Bolden, Brandon Bolden, or what's his name, Delvin, getting these touchdowns, or Rex Burkhead ends up being everybody but Sony. So if you got Sony, you're starting them. But prepare for a possible letdown. And that's why I have him in 1 or 2 DFS lineups, because, the ceiling is 4 touchdowns this game, but the floor is 80 yards, only plays, a couple downs and stuff because they're up so big. So it's really, really, he could be all over the place. He could have a great game. He could have a 80 yards, with no catches and no touchdowns, which kills you. Or he could have kind of a mediocre game, 18 to 22 points. You know what I'm saying? Sony could really be all over the map just because the Patriots, I think they do it on purpose. I really do. They're oh, these guys think, the Dolphins, we should just run Sony Michel because it's so easy. Let's just plug in. Patriots do stuff like that, man. They'll run a tight end sweep. They'll run Lacoste and do a goal line sweep. Oh, man. Anyway, so you're starting all your Patriots, long story short. If you got AB, you got to start them. It's the Dolphins again. Josh Gordon's the one that might suffer the most. But then again, if Xavier Howard is on AB, then it could be Josh Gordon could be the guy. So one guy I don't like on the page is James White. This is not a James White game. Last week was just James White's game because Pittsburgh's really good against the run. We thought it might be a shootout, so they hit him in the flat with James White. But I will say this is what concerns me. Here's the kicker, guys. This is what concerns me about Michel and why I think he's not such a slam dunk, despite I did an Instagram post saying how to start him, this and that. But that was when I thought James White was going to be out. But this is my main concern, and I had heard this in the offseason. New England's offensive line isn't very good. They've never been really good. It's all about the system. Tom Brady gets that ball out of his hands so quick. But now we're talking about the run. And all offseason, I heard in their training camp, because I look at individual teams training, I go deep. I told you I'll go deep. So what they said was that the Patriots' offensive line was getting no push off the ball. And we saw that. The Pittsburgh Steelers completely dominated. I think Rex Burkhead had some nice runs and James White because they caught him off guard. So that's my only concern with the Patriots, is that their offensive line might be a hindrance this year. Dolphins, you want to take a dart at Drake. They're going to be down by 40. So, and, New England will probably start teeing off. So maybe Drake gets some of those dump passes, but that's it. One of them that's it. Yeah, that's it. And even that's a stretch. Drake at best is a flex, but he has been the Patriot killer. So, but we don't know how they're going to use Drake, Dolphins. Be sure to give me a thumbs up, guys, if you don't mind. I would appreciate it. A lot of work goes into researching this. You guys, that's why it takes so long. That's why it's Saturday, tomorrow, Sunday. But you're getting the latest and the greatest and the freshest information because I'm taking into account injuries and all that stuff. Bills and Giants. This should be interesting. Those who've been following me know I'm pretty big on Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen, guys, I had somebody else comment on a post because I said start Allen, pick him up. And then somebody threw a number at me. They were like, well, he threw, I don't know how many passes. He threw a lot of passes because I said he completed 65% of his passes. But the guy was like, yeah, but he only had like 250 yards. This is the thing about Josh Allen. He's going to be really good in fantasy, and it's not going to look really good. It's going to be ugly. His percentage might be down. He might, guys, but he did that last year. Last year, his passing was atrocious, and he was the number one quarterback from week 12 to 17. Now he actually looked pretty decent, and that's why I go by the eye test, because number guy is not going to see the value in Josh Allen because he only threw for this many yards. He only had 16 points against the Jets, But vision guy, I look and he passes the eye test. He looked really good, really confident. He's big, he's strong, got a big arm, and he's got better weapons, an improved offensive line, and he can run. He still had 10 carries. And he's going against the Giants. Yes, you start whoever goes against the Giants. And he's got bulletin board material. Pat Shermer, the Giants coach, said when asked about Josh Allen, he was like, he might be able to be a starter in this league. Oh, really? Might be able to be a starter. He has a strong arm. I think Josh Allen is going to be out to prove a mission. Remember, it's a battle in New York, even though Buffalo's upstate, almost Canada, but it's still, you know what I'm saying? It's a battle. It's New York versus New York. John Brown's a sneaky play. Singletary as well. So I like those three Bills. If you got them, you start them. Depending on your options, I don't think anyone is a must start, but they're pretty close to it. I think Barkley and Ingram are going to eat in the Giants side of the ball. Shepard's out with a concussion. Giants, those are the only two Giants are starting all year anyway. Barkley could definitely have a big game, and I'm playing him in DFS even though he's super expensive. Hawks, Steelers. This could be interesting. We saw what happened in Seattle. Their corners, their secondary look bad. I think they're getting a few guys on defense back. I want to say Collier, their first-round pick, pass rusher. They should be getting him. And I don't know if that guy from Detroit they signed, I forget his name, but he's another pass rusher. I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. So check on that. But this is a weird game. This is really weird because it could go either way. It has the potential for a shootout because, Big Ben, I think that clunker that they threw against New England, that can either propel them to come back fired up and take advantage of a suspect Seattle secondary at home. Seattle traveling across the globe, country, or we might see two gritty defenses iron it out, and Seattle, because Seattle, I just don't see them as a team that could just get in a shootout, especially with Pittsburgh being really good against the run if they repeat how they played against Sony Michel at home. So I'm not sure how I feel about this game, to be quite frank. I love Juju this game, I'll tell you that. Love Juju. If you get 13 points against Gilmore on the road, expect a big game. I think he could be the number one receiver. I like him, and OBJ is my favorite receivers this week. I think OBJ is going to tear the Jets a new one. With those corners on Monday night with a pissed off Baker, woo, might see some records being broken. So Juju's a must start. Moncrief, that finger's looking banged up. James Washington's inconsistent. That's what I'm saying. Like, Seattle's really good against the run. So is Juju going to be enough to make this a high-scoring game? And with Seattle, these guys, they have a lot of pride, that defense. I don't think it might not be as high scoring as people think. Because I think both defenses are good enough to keep the scoring down. So Connor and Carson, obviously you're starting them. Not a fan of either start, especially in DFS. We didn't see Carson do much against Cincinnati from a running standpoint. From a receiver, yes. But I think he only averaged 3.5. Pittsburgh's tougher. So, yeah, you're starting Juju. You're starting Carson. Russ is an okay start. I like Allen or Derek Carr more personally. Russ is just – he's so good, and he's been so good, and he's been a top QB1, but he's also like, Cincinnati at home. That's what's weird about Russ is there's some people that are matchup receivers and matchup corners and things like that, or quarterbacks, I should say. Russ is the type of quarterback that could do bad in an easy matchup and do great in a bad matchup because he's so talented and he just kind of adjusts because Cincinnati has no offense. So if Ben just starts firing it, then Russ will be like, okay, y'all want to play like that? But then if they don't, then he's also like mediocre. It's weird. Cowboys and Skins. This is another tricky game. Tricky. Cowboys looked amazing. 400 yards by Dak. The Giants look like crap. Gallup with 158 yards from I don't know. But everybody looked good on Dallas against the Giants at home. Washington, though, Cowboys and Indians, rivalry game on the road. These division games, guys, the Redskins know the Cowboys like nobody else. Now, they do have a new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and he's going to try to, spread things out. But at the end of the day, we've seen Dak be great, and we've seen Dak let us down too. So I think it's kind of a trap game. I love Gallup this game, by the way, because say what you want to say, it's a division game, they're on the road. Washington's secondary is still crap. They're going to be better because they're at home, but they're still crap. And usually, it's the other guy. Like, the obvious would be like Amari Cooper's going to go ham, even though he's going against, Josh Norman. Josh Norman is kind of like just a little above mediocre these days. So I think Amari could have a good game. He's going to get volume. He's going to get targets. But I think the sneaky play here is I love Gallup this game. Because if Josh Norman's their best and he's shaky at best, what is their second corner like? I mean, D-Jax was just going bombs away. Jeffrey, everybody was having a party on them. Now, again, like I said, I do think they'll play a little better because it's the Cowboys. They're at home. Adrian Peterson is a sneaky play, super cheap in DFS, but you're banking on a touchdown, which is possible. Only because Dallas is on the road, and I think he's going to be fired up in front of that home crowd. AP's got the starting job. He's going to run it angry. And I do think it'll be more competitive. They hung in there with the Eagles at Philly. I definitely think they could hang in there with Dallas at home. So I'm not sure. I'm not starting McLaurin. Now with Case Keenum and him going against Byron Jones. Trey Quinn could be a sneaky play. But I don't think we've gotten to the point where we're that desperate, where there's bye weeks and things like that. Vernon Davis. Love him in DFS. Love him in DFS. Super cheap. Dallas, one big weakness on defense is against the tight end. Pretty good against the run. I mean, Saquon, so don't let that, fool you. But pretty good against the run. Really good secondary, really good pass rush. They're weak against tight ends. And Evan Ingram tore him a new one. So even if even if Vernon Davis produces half of what Ingram had, that's a really solid start. If you lost Henry, Vernon Davis is away. Honestly, that Washington, because they have such limited pass catchers, they have a rookie starting. They have Trey Quinn, this little, Cole Beasley replica. And they traditionally target the tight end, so you could just switch them up. Jordan Reed's going to be injured every other game, so when he's healthy, you play him. When he's not, you play Vernon Davis, and you'll have yourself solid TE production because there's really no TE you can rely on every single week. Outside of, I'm not going to even mention, who they are, but I would include Hooper. Too many people are asking me, should I start Hooper? Should I sit Hooper for Waller? Should I sit Hooper for Hawkinson? No. Hooper is a must start the same way Kittle, Kelsey, Ertz, and Evan Ingram. That's it. Njoku too. So don't ask. All right, so far what we learned here, guys, don't ask me about Boyd. Don't ask me about Hooper. They are must starts every week. Zeke, you're starting, obviously. I mentioned Cooper. I mentioned Gallup. Cardinals and Baltimore. This game I'm excited for. The two most dynamic quarterbacks going up against one another. Now, you know Lamar is going to put on a show. He's a competitive guy, and he looked brilliant against Miami. And Arizona are going across the country on the road with a bad defense already. Lamar's going to ball. Lamar might be the number one quarterback again. But here's where it gets interesting. Because Kyler Murray is a competitor, the number one pick. He wants to show he's dynamic. Very, very hard matchup. Lost their right tackle, Marcus Gilbert, for the year. Might have another offensive lineman banged up, and they weren't even good to begin with. But what I said earlier, big players do big things. And Murray's just one of those guys who's special. And I think if he sees Lamar, just putting on a show, I think he's going to be like, hell no. And this is why I think he's got a shot. Now, hold up. Disclaimer, don't start him. No, don't start him. I'm going over all the games. And, if I get this right, then I could come back and be like, look, I called this shit. No, I'm just kidding, kind of. But no, really. I don't think Murray's going to blow up or anything. But I'm curious to see if this is going to tell me how for real. Now, if Murray does bad, it doesn't mean that he's not for real. Oh, but if he does good. I don't mean blow up good. But if he repeats what he did at home against Detroit, at Baltimore, this is why I think he has a chance too. Because Jimmy Smith, their two top corners might be out. Baltimore's strength is their secondary. Best secondary last year. Their strength is their secondary. Jimmy Smith, amazing. Has been injury prone, but he's out for sure. So they're already down one corner. Marlon Humphreys, their top corner, might not play. So there looks like an opportunity. And right now we're just talking football. We're not talking fantasy. I'm not saying to start in fantasy. I'm just telling you how I feel and how I see things and things to look out for. Because if Murray plays good at Baltimore, which I think there's a pot. Now, if he stinks it up, I'm going to be a little disappointed. I'm just looking if he gets 18 to 22 points, I'm already on that bandwagon, but I'm like, giddy up. I'm all in on Murray. I'm already almost all in, but anyway, I love Murray. I went on a tangent. I apologize, guys, but just things to look out for. I'm curious. Marquise Brown is the dart. Mark Andrews, I'm starting. Mark Ingram's a great start. Arizona, bad against tight ends, bad against the running. So Lamar, Andrews, and Ingram are your guy from Baltimore. DJ, you're starting him. I don't love the matchup. Murray, you're not starting him. But I'll tell you what, if you got I would start Murray probably over Matt Stafford or something like that. Or Dalton. Or he's in that same. I just believe in talent, guys. Texans and Jags, another interesting game. They said they had a statistic. They said when Watson plays with both Hopkins and Fuller, he scores over 30 points, averages 30 fantasy points per game. Guess who's playing? Oh, not only Hopkins and Fuller, but Kiki QT, but Duke Johnson. Bro, that team is loaded. And their first round pick, Howard, the offensive lineman, he might be coming back real soon to pair with Tunzel. So their offensive line might be at least stabilizing. You don't need a great offensive line with Watson, his legs. And Watson's just I think, as great as he is, I think Watson's underrated. I don't hear people talk about him enough. And I think outside of Mahomes, he's that guy. And now everything's in the works. He got the line, he's got the weapons. So even though Jaguars are a great defense, Mahomes lit them up. And I'm still not ready to call Watson Mahomes, but I'm also not ready to say that Mahomes is here and Watson's here. And I think there's a substantial gap, but not like, you know what I'm saying? So I think because Watson's at home, he's a safe start. You're starting Hopkins. I think Fuller's a sneaky play. AJ Bouye may or may not play. Even if he does, he hasn't looked good the last year and a half or year and week, whatever. So I don't look at AJ Bouye as a threat. Ramsey's going to be running around Hopkins. So Duke Johnson could be a sneaky play. You know, especially if Jaguars come at him with the pass rush, little dump offs to Duke. I think he's at least safe. Nice flex play, really nice flex play. I don't think he has tremendous upside, but I think he'll get you your flex. He'll make you feel good about your flex. Watkins is a must start. Oh no, sorry. I'm sorry. I looked down on my paper and I'm looking at the Chiefs. And since we were talking about Mahomes, I totally got sidetracked. Brain fart. Sorry, guys. So yeah, you're basically starting all of your Texans. I'm curious. On a side note, you're not starting Kiki QT. I did mention for you guys to pick him up yesterday. I'm curious to see if he starts. So big one to look at. Something to keep an eye out for is Kiki QT, whether he starts, and if he starts, how many snaps he plays. That's something to be looking out for because he could possibly have some wide receiver 3 upside potential. Not this game, but like long term. Jags, I love Dede. Houston, I think they cut their slot corner, so they're using a backup slot corner. Their secondary isn't good. If they score a lot of points, it means the Jaguars are going to have to throw, and Dede is the guy. He was targeted most when Minshew came in the game, so a lot of people freak out when they lost Foles and said, oh, Dede Westbrook, no, he's going to be crap because no Foles. Guys, the ball still got to go somewhere. Dede is the guy it's most likely to go to. He's their best receiver. He's got the best matchup. He's going to get the most volume. They're going to be down. They're going to need to throw. DeFilippo, their offensive coordinator, loves to throw. So you start connecting the dots, even though the quarterback's not great. I love Dede Westbrook in this game. Love him. He does have a low floor. Like there is low. Like he's got pretty decent upside. I'm not saying he's got blow up. But he does have a low floor because it's Minshew. 6th rounder, rookie on the road. So he does have a low floor, but it's worth the risk. It's worth the risk. I mean, you're starting Fournette. Fournette, I think they said he hasn't had a 100-yard game since 2017. I'm starting to believe, like, Fournette, like, even if he stays healthy, it's just not that great. It's kind of a bust. You know, like if you play him, I think he's got a decent floor because of his volume. They use him a lot, and they use him a lot as a pass catcher, but nothing to be excited about. So if you play him, you're playing Dede. Shark is a complete dart. He looked really good. Awesome talent. I mean, this is the thing with Shark. Everything's kind of lining up. You know what I'm saying? Houston's going to put up points. Their secondary sucks. The two things against them is the game's on the road. Quarterbacks are not the same on the road, even less if they're 6th-round picks. But talent over everything. So I wouldn't start him with confidence. I wouldn't start him probably in anything other than DFS. He's a complete dart. But again, a player to start prepping for the future. Like for me, I haven't picked up a kicker right now. I got Shark at the end of my bench. I'm going to give him a tryout. If he passes the eye test, if he gets a couple more targets, or maybe he blows up, then I keep him. If not, I cut him for a kicker. Like that's the way I roll. So I suggest you guys treat Shark the same way. Because this is what happens, and somebody brought this up. Somebody had a question in the Facebook group. They were going to start Shark, right? And it was comparable. They were going to start Shark or Raheem Mostert. So they're equal, right? He's a Coleman owner. I told him, since they're about equal, Shark has more blow-up potential for sure. Raheem has more safety. I told him to start Raheem Mostert because you're not cutting Raheem Mostert no matter what. Because you're a Coleman owner, and that's basically your cuff. And he's got standalone value right now, and possibly in the future when Breida gets hurt, because you know it's going to happen. So you're not cutting him. But if Sharp throws a clunker, you could cut him. You could cut him and maybe pick someone up before the late games start, the 4 o'clock games or the 8 o'clock games. I haven't looked at the schedule. So that's the way I play. I'm always thinking ahead. You know what I'm saying? So I suggest you guys do the same, because then if you started Monster, here's the kicker. If you started Shark and he goes a donut, which is possible, then you're stuck with a donut in your lineup and you can't drop him and pick up someone else. So you double screwed yourself. Chiefs and Raiders. I think you're firing up everybody. Chelsea, great matchup. Watkins, great matchup. Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy. One of them is going to do pretty decent. One of them is going to be a flex. One of them is probably going to be at least an RB2. So you're firing them up. Same thing with the Raiders. Jacobs, just based on volumes alone, although I will say the Chiefs are really, really good. I'm not crazy here. Jacobs is one of those guys like an Aaron Jones, like Golladay, like certain guys where if you got them, you're starting them, but they're not ideal matchups for 2 reasons. This is probably going to be a throwing game. You know the Chiefs are going to put up points. Although I'll say this, they're not going to put up as many as you would think. The reason for that is, again, I keep bringing up division games. You guys cannot discount the amount of hatred and history that the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs have against each other. And they're familiar. They play them twice a year. It's such a big difference, guys. When you don't play the Chiefs and you got to go on a West Coast trip and go at Kansas City, and you're not used to seeing all these guys flying around like Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, and then you got Kelsey, that shit is just like, ah! And it's hard for the Raiders, but they've seen it. They're familiar with it. It's not as crazy to the Raiders being that they have a familiarity. So, yes, I do think there's going to be points, but I don't think it's going to be like 42-35. It's going to be like 27-21, something like that. I think the Raiders are going to play with a lot of heart at home. Their defense look really good. Flacco look really bad, but their defense look really good. I think they'll do a solid job of at least stopping the run or playing better. Kansas City doesn't have one of their main weapons, Tyreek Hill. That's why I think Kelsey's going to Mecole Hardman, contrary to this conspiracy, he's not Tyreek Hill. He's not going to just plug in for Tyreek Hill and blow it up. People need to relax with Mecole Hardman. He's a rookie. But Travis Kelce will. And Sammy Watkins is safe too, because Sammy Watkins has always been super talented, but also been injury prone. Well, guess what? He's healthy right now. And Tyreek Hill's out. So those three, Mahomes, Kelce, and Watkins, awesome. Damian Williams, McCoy, solid but unspectacular starts. And then the Raiders side of football, you're starting Waller because he led the team in targets. They're going to have to throw the ball, even though I don't think it's going to be a 40-point game. It's going to be, like I said, in the high 20s, I think, somewhere around that. So I think Waller gets his fair share of targets, even though Kansas City has been traditionally good against tight ends because they get killed on the outside. So Tyrell Williams is a great start. He's almost getting in there. I need to see probably like 1 or 2 more weeks, but right now he's almost in that must-start receiver, not Tyler Boyd, but, because it goes like the Juju section, Juju, Devontae Adams, DeAndre. Then it goes the Boyd section, the Boyd, Cup, Godwin. And then it goes the Tyrell Williams section, which is like Tyrell Williams, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, that section that are kind of must starts. And I think Tyrell Williams is getting into that section because he's good. He's in a throwing offense, and, they don't have Antonio Brown. They got to go somewhere. Jacobs, like I said, you're starting him based on volume, but not a great matchup because they're going to be throwing. I don't think they're going to be using him that much in the passing game, not just yet. That's usually the last thing to come when it comes to running backs, specifically rookies. It's usually the second year or later on in the year that they are more involved in the passing game because it's a little more complex. You're running routes, you gotta figure out, different blitz pickups because you're not always going to be running routes on passing down. So things like that take a little more time. So Jacobs, not a great start, but you are starting him. Bears and Broncos. This should be interesting. Similar to Jacobs, similar to Aaron Jones, Golladay, guys like that you have, or specifically similar, I should say, to Tyrell Williams. Courtland Sutton is becoming that must-start guy, and it's amazing. I understand why I got questions to not play him, but it's amazing to me how many waiver wires Courtland Sutton is on, and people asking me if they should pick up Courtland Sutton. Guys, Courtland Sutton, I mean, and some of you guys, that are asking me this, I know you've been following me for a while. I've mentioned Courtland Sutton's name almost as much as I've talked about Godwin, Cooper, and Kupp, because history repeats itself. Again, fact, Flacco always has a wide receiver too. Flacco's strength is throwing the deep ball. Sutton is really talented. He had 700 yards as a rookie. That's not pedestrian numbers with Case Keenum and no offensive line. And I've been telling y'all, you could get him for wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 prices, and he's a guaranteed wide receiver 2. And he showed it his first game. And yes, it's a tough matchup, but again, home field matters. The Bears, he's going against Kyle Fuller, but if the volume is there, always follow the volume, even if it's a tough matchup. And he does have a slight, not advantage, but I like his prospects a little bit better. I wouldn't start DJ Shark over Sutton because DJ Shark has a better matchup. Talent over everything. But I love Sutton. If he's available for some reason in your waiver wire, pick him up. You don't have to start him this week, but I think he's definitely a possible wide receiver 3 flex, even against the Bears. Montgomery is flex. I think this is a gut instinct. I think Matt Nagy's full of shit. I think Matt Nagy is going to feel the heat. It's not as bad as New York, but when it comes to Bears football, you don't mess around with them. The people in Chicago will not take that shit. If he has another game where Montgomery's getting only 6 carries, this guy is going to hear some noise. So for that reason, I do think Montgomery's going to get at least 10 to 15 touches, which is what I expected from him from week 1. That's a gut feeling. Remember, coaches lie all the time. So the fact that he said he wants to ease him in there and to be patient, that's bullshit. That's coach talk. We hear that shit all the time. So I would not. Now, again, Montgomery's not a must start, but because he has that upside, and even though it's a tough place to play, Denver, it's a tough matchup. But he does deserve flex consideration, and I think he could be a solid flex. Not a must start. Some of you guys are really loaded, but he's I don't think his prospects this week, I'm talking about this week only, are any worse than Josh Jacobs. I guess you're starting Allen Robinson. The Broncos probably be out Brian Callahan. They're not really good at the corners. We saw it last week. Tyrell Williams ate him up. So Allen Robinson's a start. Not crazy about Allen Robinson. He's got a pretty low floor, but, I think he's a flex wide receiver 3. If you got him, you're probably starting him again unless your team is really loaded. But he's a decent start. Not bad, not great. Phillip Lindsay, not really the best start. You could bench him. You could play him as a flex, but it's not a flex I'm excited about against the Bears. They're just so damn good. And he's going to get volume, but not that much volume. Anybody else? Tariq Cohen, it's a dart. I feel like I'm missing someone. Yeah, that's it. Saints and Rams, this one could be high scoring. The Saints, I don't know why. Traditionally, their defense has been really good at the later part of the year, but they've been really bad the early part. Maybe it just takes them a while to kick into gear. But yeah, the Saints and the Rams, Goff at home is a different quarterback, but so is Drew Brees on the road. Drew Brees, I think he averages less than 2 touchdowns, like 1.5 touchdowns on the road only. One guy who does get an uptick on the road, they mentioned that Alvin Kamara gets 1.5 targets more on the road. So Breeze is less confident doing more check downs to Alvin Kamara. So Alvin Kamara, we saw what CMC did to the Rams. Great DFS play, great play this week. The Rams are very suspect against the run and passing and pass catching backs. They're a lot better against the against the passing because they have a good pass rusher, Aaron Donald. They have good corners with Peterson and Talib. So something to keep an eye out for. Michael Thomas, you're playing him, obviously. It's weird. It was a tale of two games. Michael Thomas, I think, had like his biggest game against the Rams, had like 200 yards, but I think Talib and Peterson, one or both, were missing. And then in the playoffs, they shut him down. So I'm not crazy about Michael Thomas prospects this game. Like I said, you're starting him. But specifically, if it was at home, I'd feel differently. But on the road, Brees struggles a bit. I think Michael Thomas will struggle as well. But like I said, not like you're sitting him. This could be, excuse me, guys. I think the best pass catcher for the New Orleans Saints this game, this could be a Jared Cook game. Rams are susceptible to the middle of the field. Don't have really good linebackers. Jared Cook is a really nice play this week. On the Rams side of the ball, don't really like Gurley. Saints really good against stopping the run. They could be susceptible a little bit more to pass catching backs. I don't know if they're going to use Gurley more in that situation. They didn't in week one, but maybe it was matchup based. Maybe because they know the Saints are really good up front that they'll try using Gurley more in the passing game. But either way, not a great matchup for Gurley. If you picked him, you're starting him. Rams, Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp could have a really nice game. I think Cooks is going to struggle the most. He's going to be lining up against Lattimore. I mean, Lattimore is not unbeatable. We saw, DeAndre tore him a new one, but, Cooks is not DeAndre either. So I think Woods and Kupp are the better play, Kupp being the number one play. I think New Orleans could definitely be had in the slot, and Kupp looked really good, got 10 targets first week. So I really like Kupp this week. Am I missing anybody? Malcolm Brown, he's touchdown or bust. Again, Saints have a really good, strong, defensive line. So I wouldn't start Malcolm Brown. You're starting Gurley because you drafted him early. But Woods and Kupp and Goff. Goff is a good play at home. Like I said, different quarterback. Now for the Sunday night game. Another one. You're pretty much firing everybody up. I told you guys Hooper's a must start. Now, this is about the toughest matchup for Hooper for two reasons. Philly is really good against tight ends, and they're really bad against receivers. Their cornerbacks suck. Atlanta's playing at home. Dirk Coder calling the plays in a dome Sunday night in what should be a shootout. Julio Ridley, air him out. Hooper might still be relevant. I'm still starting him because I think with Coder, tight ends get, at least I think Hooper's floor is at least 6 to 7 targets, which for a tight end is great. So you can start him with confidence, but it's not the best matchup for Hooper. Just keep that in mind. But again, tight ends are a crapshoot. Outside your top 5, tight ends are crapshoot. So you're starting Hooper, you're starting the receivers. Sanu could even be a DFS dart. I could definitely, like I said, Philly's bad. They're going to be focused on Julio, so maybe it's not really, it's actually Sanu. This could be a Sanu game, DFS. Obviously, non-league, but DFS. This could be a Sanu game. Not starting any Atlanta running back. Freeman, I told y'all not to start him or not to draft him. I'll be trying to trade him, and I would take low value for Freeman. Usually I say, if a guy's value is real low, just keep him. You might as well. No, with Freeman, you take what you get. I'll take MBS for Freeman. That's how I feel about Freeman. And Philly, same thing. I don't like Djax. Alford, their corner is really fast. He's going to be guarding them. So I think it could be more of an Alshon Jeffrey game, but I really think it could be a Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert game. Atlanta has been really, really bad against tight ends. Now, We didn't see it last week because Kirk Cousins threw 10 passes. And they, for some reason, forgot Kyle Rudolph is on the team. And they drafted Irv Smith. I don't know. They're like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't want to use their tight ends. So don't let that fool you. Atlanta has been bad against the tight end, one of the worst. And Philly's got two good ones. I think Deshaun Jackson is one of those low-floor games. I think Alshon Jeffrey, I read a stat, he averaged less than 7 carries in like 6 of the last 8 games, or 7 of the last 8 games, he had less than 7 carries. So Alshon Jeffrey, very boom or bust. So I do think both of them can be big because a lot of people focus on Ertz. And Dallas Goedert, super talented. All he needs to do is get in that end zone. All it takes is 6 is 7. Couple of catches, all of a sudden you're close to T1. So, and Dallas Goedert, guys, if you guys play DFS, go look at his price. So if you win some money, my Venmo is at fantasyfootballrapper. Just remember that. Or PayPal, fantasyfootballrapper@gmail.com. If you guys want to donate, I do spend a lot of time all day, every day, all weekend doing this crap. Right after this, I'm writing my rap. So that's something to keep in mind. Did we say everybody? Yeah, so Philly, I like the tight ends. Miles Sanders could be a sneaky play. If it wasn't for his volume, I'd say he's an amazing play. But again, we're seeing a situation. This is the part I found interesting. Darren Sproles, guys, last year I was really big on Corey Clement. Corey Clement played amazing in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. He had like 3 touchdowns. He was clearly the best back. For some reason, Philadelphia and Doug Peterson have this infatuation with this little old-ass running back. Like Miles Sanders, guys, Miles Sanders like world class. Like his talent is like elite. I was surprised he led in carries. This is the part that didn't make sense. He led in carries, even though I think Sproles had like 9 himself or something, but he only had 2 targets, which goes back to what I was saying. Like sometimes the receiving work for rookie running backs, it takes a little slower to come along. But so if we're looking at the positive, I'm glad that he led in carries. I thought Jordan Howard would be, and then Miles Sanders would be that kind of, third down back, which would be good enough to make him relevant in fantasy, like flex RB2, because that's a potent offense. But instead, it's like Sproles. So Miles Sanders, somebody I would target anyway. Long story short, I would target him as a buy low, and he has some flex appeal because they're really bad against pass catching backs. But then again, is it going to go to Sproles? So anyway, long story short, he's a flex. Like the tight ends, love Wentz, love Matt Ryan. So basically, you're firing up everybody for the Sunday night special. And then Browns versus Jets. Love Baker, love OBJ. Nick Chubb might break the rushing record. Actually, Nick Chubb might break the rushing record, and OBJ might break the receiving record in the same game. Guys, the Jets, Devin Singletary had 4 carries and 70 yards. The Jets might be without C.J. Mosley and their number 1 pick, Quentin Williams. Do you know what Nick Chubb is going to do to that team? Hunt is suspended, and Hilliard might not play due to a concussion. They should be up big. Do you know what Nick Chubb is going to do to that team? Guys, OBJ wore a $250,000 watch, and he's mad because people insulted him, as they should. Guys, like, I don't want to sound old, but like you're playing football. Why are you wearing a watch to play football? Like, and I try to not to be judgmental. I try to love all people, embrace all people. But why? Why must you feel like you need to wear a watch? That's like a safety hazard, first off. But anyway, obviously he's an entertainer. Him and Cam and Russell Westbrook. Like, I sound like Colin Cowherd right now, but the dude's got a point. Those guys don't win. But I say that to say this. He's obviously an entertainer. And guess what it is? Monday Night Football. What do you think he wants to do? Entertain. And he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to prove people, yo, I could wear my watch. Oh, you know who else is going to have a chip on his shoulder? Baker. Like 3 or 4 picks, whatever he had against Tennessee at home, people starting to, crap on him. So you got a motivated Baker, a motivated OBJ, a stud in Nick Chubb, and you got a bad Jets team with a bad offense, with a backup quarterback. Oh, this is going to get ugly. This is going to get ugly. So, yeah. Don't like Bell this game. The offense is going to suck. The only Jet I'm starting, again, you got to start Bell. It's like I don't like James Conner. I don't like Aaron Jones. I don't like Chris Carson. They all got bad matchups. They're all probably going to pretty stinky, but you got to start them. So, yeah, you're starting Bell and you're starting Crowder. Because, shoot, the ball got to go somewhere, and they're going to be down. They're going to be down a lot, so they're going to be throwing a lot. So you're starting Crowder. After that, no. You're not starting Robbie Anderson going against Denzel Ward with a bad calf and a backup quarterback. No. So, yeah, you're starting Bell because you have to, and you start Crowder. Crowder's a decent start, wide receiver 3. And then you're starting on your Browns. Ouch, sorry. Even Landry, start him up. He's a flex. So there you have it, guys. That is my program for today. Hopefully you guys got some value over there. This was very well thought of. I thought about how each game could go, the game pace, the players to look out for, the players that, I mix in some players to target. I really go all in. I really am committed because I do feel that if you provide value to people, then everything else will take care of itself. So thank you for tuning in, guys. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. Give me a sub, please. That means a lot. That's the way you can repay me because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. Once I do that, I can make some money. So thank you once again, guys. If you have any questions, comment down below. Follow me at fantasyfootballrapper on Instagram, at IamFFRapper on Twitter. Love you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.